Welcome to Mimir, the podcast for ambitious entrepreneurs who want to launch and grow a successful business from day one. I'm your host, Maddie Kelly, and each week I sit down with founders who have been there, done that. We dive into the mindset, strategies, and practical tools you need to turn your vision into a reality. So let's get to work. Hey guys, welcome back to Mimir. If you've ever felt like your brain just works differently as a founder, like the highs are higher, the pressure is heavier, and your decision-making never really turns off, you are not imagining it. This week's episode dives into exactly why that is. And we hear it all the time. Founders are built different. But what if that's not just a saying? What if it's actually science? Today, I am sitting down with Marina Morgan, a business psychologist, founder, and researcher who spent the last 20 years exploring what makes the entrepreneurial mind so unique and how to work with it instead of against it. Marina works with founders around the world to help them navigate high-stress decision-making, burnout, and emotional resilience while building category-defining companies. She's incredibly driven, deeply data-oriented, and on top of all of that is developing a new framework to measure how psychologically ready employees are for AI integration. How freaking cool. For years, I've been talking about the psychology of entrepreneurship on this podcast, why founder brains work the way that they do, how to harness that, and of course, how to stay healthy in the process. So meeting somebody who could actually back that up with research had me genuinely giddy. In our conversation, Marina shares what neuroscience tells us about how founder brains actually work and how they differ from the average human being, why entrepreneurship comes with emotional highs and deep lows and how to manage both sides of the coin, the real reason burnout creeps up on you, and how it shows up in your decision-making before you even realize it. But this isn't just theory. Marina also breaks down how to create personalized, science-backed systems to protect your energy, support your mental health, and lead with clarity. Oh, and why surfing or dancing might actually make you a better CEO. If you have ever wanted to understand your own brain a little better or felt like nobody really gets what it's like to build something from scratch, this episode will leave you feeling seen, supported, and equipped with new tools to keep going. So, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Marina to the podcast. So, something that I was really excited about for us was I think our mission and values are very aligned. And so to have your perspective on here coming from like a psychological, scientific perspective is so fascinating. There's someone else out there who is talking about the psychology of being an entrepreneur. Let's just start where you just give a brief overview of sort of like who you are, your career, how you got to where you are now.
Thank you so much for having me today. I really feel that we have some kind of a common mission in what thing we are doing, and I'm really happy to be here. I'm an entrepreneur, and I've been an entrepreneur since I was, I think, 17. It's more than 20 years already. Oh my God.
I wouldn't tell. Yeah. I wouldn't know.
Oh, that's okay. So I'm proud of it. And my career engaged even the entrepreneurial experience, but also corporative experience. I really had an amazing corporative career, like head of talent development in the huge technological, media, and telecom companies. I was responsible for the development of the high talented people skills. And as everyone knows, if we're speaking about the technological companies, our employees is the main thing, is our main competitive advantage from the one side. And from another side, this is the biggest part of all our expenses, the salaries, the benefits, the motivation programs. So, and my responsibility in my corporate career was to be absolutely confident that everything that we are doing, I mean, our development program, some kind of a coaching program, I work with all level of the employees in the organization, from the C-level managers till, some other employees, sales team, whatever it is. I need to prove that everything that we are doing really help companies to earn more money.
Mm-hmm.
And I have several cases where we were able to prove it statistically. It happened because it was 300,000 employees in the company where I worked. And
Wow.
we were able to compare the different groups, because the only one way to prove that thing that you're doing really influence for the results is to compare with the same group and the same circumstances and the same market, who, for example, didn't participate in the program or in some kind of support or development program that you provided. So, and right now I'm running my own psychological agency, business psychological agency for entrepreneurs and their team here in Silicon Valley. Of course, we have a client for all over the world. Some of them are here, some of them in another states of the United States, some of them in Europe, in Canada. I even have clients in Australia and in Asian part of our planet. And it's really impressive and interesting because it is always so different from one side, from another side. The problems are the same, typically. But anyway, and another field of my interests right now, I'm developing my framework, AIQ, the name of it, that measuring the psychological readiness of the employees to the AI integration. I mean, not only psychological, all the human factors that influence for the results of your AI integration. That's what we right now they're interested about, and we are developing the standard. I mean, some kind of criteria. Through that, you can really understand what's going on in your company, and I hope the next level of development of my idea in AIQ will be the ability to compare your framework, your results with the market, and you can really better understand what's going on. Speaking about the services that we are providing right now, this is business coaching and business psychological consultations for the business owners, founders. Also, we provide some facilitation service for the board members. For example, if you need to develop strategy, or you need to pivot or find some new solution, or maybe even reorganize your processes, and you really need your board member to participate in it very actively. So, and also we are developing educational program and development program for the employees, depends on your request. Typically, we are working on all levels because this is the best way to achieve best results as fast as possible. Everything that you have about the people in your organization, this is in our agency. So
100%. It's a team effort across the board, no matter what company you're in. But everything that you are working on is so fascinating to me. And since you work with founders on a regular basis, I think something that I really want to make sure that we talk about is, what are some of the most common things that you see founders sort of get wrong about their brain and how they function? And how does that misunderstanding show up in how they successfully build companies?
It's a really great question, and thank you for that. In our approach, we're really based on some business strategies, organizational psychology, organizational behavior, and also some kind of the neuroscience. And God bless, right now we have some research about the entrepreneurial brain. There are not so much of them, I should be honest here, but we have something that we can rely on. Here are the several things. The first, we should really be very clear about who are the entrepreneurs, because there are different people. And in the United States, this is millions and millions of the different people. I mean, if, for example, you are baking and selling your cakes that you really love, you are an entrepreneur. If you're running a great technological company or, I don't know, retail company, you're an entrepreneur. And I think here, following the questions, when we're speaking about the entrepreneurs, this is the people who really want to do something they want, to develop and providing their ideas, to develop their products, who really high risky, open to some kind of innovations, and really have enough of braveness, to start something they want and to hold all this responsibility. I mean, there are a lot of different people with a different experience who are coming to the entrepreneurship. Let's be honest, there are a lot of people who, for example, work in the companies, then they try to make something by their own, they wasn't succeeding in it, and they coming back to the company, and that's absolutely okay as well. It doesn't mean that you're not entrepreneur. It just means that maybe This is not the right time.
Yeah.
But if we will try to speaking about the entrepreneurs in general, and for me, this is the people who really create something new, something interesting, who are able to be responsible for what they're doing for their employees, who have some more meaning in that besides the money. Because this is the difference officially between the entrepreneurs and, for example, businessmen, because businessman is typically, if we will open the vocabulary, this is somebody who's really focused on the profit, and entrepreneurs is people who are more focused on produce something. I think the main thing that they learn about their brain is that they don't really think that their brain is really different, and there are some difference between their brain and brain of the average people, or, for example, managers. Again, it doesn't mean that somebody better, somebody worse. Absolutely not. Just different people have different skills, different abilities, different personalized things. And right now we can see that entrepreneurs really have some very, very personalized characteristics of their brains. And one of them, I think it's very important to understand, is for example, between the prefrontal cortex and nucleus accumbens, they have much more passes than, for example, the managers. What does it mean? It means that you really see much more different options and much more different paths how you can achieve your goals. And if, for example, you really want to do something, or you want to be here, you are able to see 100 different variations how you can achieve it. And that's why you think it's obvious. Let's just go there. It's obvious for me. And in comparison, this research was made by Leger Institute that connected with the famous INSEAD business educational program in INSEAD Institute. So, and managers at the same time, they have maybe 10 times less paths in the same areas.
Wow.
That means that they don't really see these opportunities. And it is a very common situation when, for example, you, like a founder, come into your employees and say, guys, I found the amazing solution. We'll go there. Let's forget about this direction. It doesn't matter. This is obvious. Let's run there. And another side is, silence. And but it's not because they don't trust you, they don't believe in your ideas. They just need more time. They just need more time to how can I say, to develop their neuroplasticity and to grow this new path.
Yeah.
Connecting the dots, absolutely right. And another thing is, my opinion, very important, that entrepreneurs, they, from another hand, they're inspiring, they're very high risky, but all of them have some kind of the dark periods. And typically in these dark periods, they think that, oh my God, something wrong with me. I'm guilty. I'm unable to develop my business. I will failure. My people trust me and they shouldn't. And they don't really understand that this is the flip side of the coin. And the reason why you are so dynamic, so inspiring, so open to risk is the same reason why sometimes you are just finding yourself in the bottom. The reality is that entrepreneurs is much more vulnerable for various of the mental disorders, for example, like bipolar disorder. And if we will compare the numbers, we can find bipolar disorder in the 1% of the average population and 11% in entrepreneurs.
Wow.
So
11.
If we're speaking about some kind of addictions, we can find it among the entrepreneurial community 4 times more than in average people. And this is one of the reasons why it is so, is because the entrepreneurs have much more sensitive dopamine system, and we're really enjoying our achievements much more, how can I say, much more brighter than average people. And that's why we want more. We're such a brave in it. We really want to achieve this goal, because this satisfaction, this pleasure is really greater for entrepreneurs than for example, other people. Again, we are speaking here about the stats. We're speaking about the numbers. Of course, it's very, very personal. There are a lot of different people with different motivation, with different brain, with different nervous system. All of them are brilliant. All of them are amazing. We absolutely understand it. But the reality is that you really should understand that the payment of everything that you probably like in yourself is this dark period. And the last thing here, is that typical. It's not about brain. I suppose this is like this is the conclusion from the previous part. As well as you're a little bit more vulnerable for some specific things in your life experience, you should be very open to request some help. Maybe it can be professional help, maybe it can be some support circle among other entrepreneurs, or maybe your family, friends, doesn't matter. But this is the vicious cycle here. Entrepreneurs, they're responsible, and they don't have a habit to rely on somebody else. They have a habit like when everyone other rely on them. And when I already started to feel these red flags that I maybe feel not so satisfied, not so inspiring, my energy just, my battery becoming lower and lower, this is the moment when you should go and request some help. Even maybe just to speak with somebody, or it will be the better way to prepare it before you, for example, launching or go into investment phase, or you're pivoting your business. But typically they are not requesting the help, and it's very difficult for them to request some professional help, right? For example, my colleagues or me, because if to be true, we like business psychologist or business coach, we are always in some kind of a competition with their activities and tasks that help them to run in the business and have much more money. For example, most of entrepreneurs, they're always counting. Right now, I'm sitting here with her. I will spend 1 hour of my time. At the same time, I can have a conversation with the client, with my employees. We can maybe, I don't know, calculating some new business model. And does it worth it or no? And most of them in this position, and it's a little bit difficult for them, they should really believe that things that we're doing here is worth it, because this is not only about the price for my services. This is also the price of their money that they can invest in something else. So it's a long conversation. Let's just
my mind is being blown. I am like freaking out because as you're explaining all of this, it feels like when you get like diagnosed by a doctor where you're like, I have all of these symptoms and I don't understand why like my body reacts this way, and then a doctor's like, oh, because you have this, and then you're like, oh, like that makes so much sense, like everything now fits into place. And the way that you're talking about like the differences between a regular brain and like an entrepreneur's brain and how they work differently, like it just makes so much sense. And to then also understand, I think clearly, that you operate on two sides of the same coin. You have like the highs and you have the lows, and both of them are balanced. But to see it for what it is, which is just the flip side of the same coin, I think it takes away some of the heaviness of those experiences. Because like I, once a month, have those moments where I'm like, I'm not doing enough. Like it's like I should be doing more. I am never going to get to where I want to get to with this level of effort. And it's like, I'm already doing as much as I possibly can. And that energy is just like representative of the other side. And to hear that, it's like, oh no, it's not me. Like I am, it's not that I'm not doing enough. It's just that like, this is the other half of this is the dark side of the coin that like is just part of the process. And to realize that, I think makes it so much easier to digest, and then also like create prescriptive support systems to be able to help you through these moments, and to also support yourself for success throughout your journey as an entrepreneur, not just when things get tough, but also like when things are great.
Absolutely. And you're absolutely right. I just want to say that I'm not a doctor. I'm just, entrepreneurial neuroscience enthusiast. Disclaimer, this is not a medical recommendation. Please go to your doctor, and if you have some problem, ask about it. This is really interesting situation for the entrepreneurial journey, because because let's be clear. If you want to develop your business and you don't have any guarantee that you will success, because the stats is really impressive. You know that more than 90% of the startups, they fail to the end of the year. This is the reality. This is about the startup model, and the business, just regular business, is different than other models, because if you're speaking about the startup, you are working on the rising price of your company. If you're speaking about the business, you are working on the client's profit, and you're following this model. This is absolutely different strategy and absolutely different psychological statement for the founder in both of these situations, and because you are acting in a little bit different strategies for your business and for your company. But the reality is that then you are starting your business, it's the same thing, in my opinion. Like, for example, you decided to bring a baby to this world, and the reality is that if you decided to bring a baby to this world, you need 9 months just to grow up the baby, and after that, you need maybe 1 year to feed it, to help him to make his first steps in this reality. And do you want it or you don't want? If you want that your baby, rising up healthy and happy, you need to sacrifice yourself for this period. And you should forget about most of your interests, most of your ambitions, most of your social connection. This is the reality. Of course, there are different situations, and God bless, right now we have infrastructure and a lot of different opportunities to help the people who are becoming the parents to be more or less, social adaptive. But the reality is that if you want to give a chance for your business to succeed, you really need to spend most part of your time to develop in it, just to help your business to stand up on his or her, I don't know, on steps. And this is the trap, because that's what made founder to identify themselves with their business. And if even you're successful on the following steps, it can become an obstacle. Because, for example, if you're already on the later stages of the business and you, for example, your company becoming very expensive, if you're speaking about the startup model, and if something is changing on the market, you started to think like, my price become cheaper. My clients don't want me, not my product, not my service. They don't want me. Because you had this period, then your business was the main priority and main focus. And this is very, tough balancing thing. And the another part of the entrepreneurial journey is a lot of guilt. And I think we will speak about it a little bit later. But I just want to say, for everyone who right now may be deciding to start their own businesses, is you should try it, but you should prepare all the infrastructure around you. I mean, not only your business, some kind of money, skills, employers. It's obvious. All of us understand, I hope so, how to run the business. But this is another part of our life that should be prepared for this too. For example, if you have family, spouse, kids, you should really be very clear about the commitment, what will be happened in the future. Because maybe half of the year or 1 year later, your spouse will say, I didn't see you for several months and we still don't have enough money for that. You're already, for example, I don't know, selling our car or something else, and you invest in it in your business. What's about some profit maybe? Do you sure that it's worth it? And a year later, it can be the same conversation, and some, tension inside your family can rise up. And this is a very important part of it, to prepare your infrastructure. Another thing is, for example, you have a parents and they maybe their health have some questions. You also should prepare for this, because I have different situation with my clients than, for example, they're rising up or they're some kind of investments, and this is tough. And at the same time, something happened in their family. And if you can to take care about it before you're diving into this phase, you should do it. If you're planning, for example, a baby or some dramatic change in your life, like moving to another country, state, depends on, it will be better to thinking about some kind of the timeline of all this before you start a new business, and just look at this. Okay, 6 months pass, I'll be here in my business. What will going on there? What will going on with my family? What will going on with the environment around me? And it will be very helpful. Before that, it will be great thinking about the support circle that I told you. And before that, you should really take care about your health, because your health, your mental health, your physical health is your main resource that you will spend it. I really had a proud to participate in the research that Icona and the Berkeley Institute, in the Berkeley University made not so long time ago. And we studied the correlation between the founder's mental health and the business success. Unfortunately,
so cool.
Unfortunately, I can say you the numbers right now, because we need to wait for the moment. Then the official results will be published, but we already have them. Right now, we are on the second phase of the research with the same group. We just want to prove the numbers and just to see the dynamic. But I can say you that the results is really impressive, and I think it will be the game change in the result we had in this field.
100%.
Yeah.
This is something that I've been talking about on the podcast since I started, and that, like, I mean, every episode I'm always like, if you are not good, your business is not going to be good. And now to have the research that actually backs that up is so powerful. And I really hope that this is a moment for founders to recognize that their businesses are an extension of themselves, and it's a mirror almost. So like if your business is struggling, it's likely because you are struggling to some degree. And in order for you to figure that out, like it always has to come from inside. And so you have to always be like fact checking yourself to be like, how am I impacting my business negatively from like a mental perspective? Is my ego getting involved? Am I feeling insecure? Like, how do you always be self-aware enough to then be able to separate yourself from your business to then make the right choices for that? Because if you don't have that level of self-awareness, you can't see where you're getting in your own way. And then there's this whole other side of that, which is like supporting yourself from a mental perspective as well. But to have the numbers, I think, and the research to actually quantify this is now something that I think a lot of founders will start to be like, okay, yeah, we get it. Whereas before, I think it was all just sort of like hypothetical, and sort of like up in the air. And there was a lot of room for people to be like, oh, whatever, like I'll be fine.
You're 100% right. We will see what will be the reaction of the founders community for our research. I think some of them are still not very loyal to all this psychological stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have numbers, it's much more better. And I don't have numbers right now. I mean, we wasn't focused on this aspect in our research. We just wanted to find the correlation and what specific relation we can find in this
Yeah.
field. And I hope that the next step of the research will be what is the first, like chicken and egg question. What is the first? Your mental health, your condition, or your business success. Because when we're speaking about the correlation, it's not obvious what is the source of it. Maybe you feel better because your business running better, right? Or maybe your business are more successful because you feel better. And but my personal experience with my clients demonstrate that if we are speaking about the people in the same circumstances with the same skill set and the same market, the possibility that you will be more successful if you feel brilliant, you're in a great condition, of course, is much more higher. I will give you one example here. What am I thinking in this way? Do you know what the signs of the burnout, if we're speaking about the business owner or the manager, comparing with the employee, for example?
I feel like I could take a couple guesses, but
Okay,
it's really
please give it.
okay. So I imagine that like burnout from like an employee perspective would probably just be sort of like you're checked out, or you are, probably not as engaged in meetings, and you're just starting to like take a back seat, I think, to your work. Whereas from a founder perspective, I think burnout probably looks more like tired and short, and like more, I think, like a shorter fuse, like quick to anger, and probably also a little bit of overcompensating.
You're right. And also, you can find one more thing. For example, you're a business owner or you're the manager. One of the signs that you are already on this train, to the burnout
Yeah.
is the amount of mistakes that you are making in your decisions started to rising up. And the reason for that is because it's the same for all the people, but it's more about the activities that are doing in our business. If we're for a long time under the stress, it's influence for our prefrontal cortex. And if we are very long in these circumstances, the extra level of the cortisol started to ruin your prefrontal cortex. And we
Wow.
right now can see some MRI shots and research. The name of this is neurovisualization research or something like that. That shows us that the size of the prefrontal cortex becoming smaller if for years, for a long time, you are under it's under their high level of cortisol influence. And as well as prefrontal cortex are responsible. It's some kind of generalization, but let's use it for the strategic thinking, decision making, critical analysis, critical thinking. If you're like a manager or business owner, you should make a lot of different decisions day by day in a lot of different fields.
Hundreds.
And if the amounts of mistakes that you're making just rising up, this is one of the signs that you really need to take a pause.
So what kind of systems do you teach your clients to build to support themselves through these times when they start to realize that they're burning out? Like, how do you support them? Because I imagine you get a lot of pushback for this, where you're like, clearly you're burnt out or you're exhausted and you need to take a break. And I'm sure like the first thing that entrepreneurs will say is like, I don't have time to take a break, or I can't take a break right now because we're onboarding a new client or we're not hitting our goals. So I have to be on top of these things. Like, how do you support their business and them at the same time?
So it's a really great question. I'm trying to be as honest as possible with my clients, and business coaching, the thing that we are providing, they can be successful only in one situation: when my client, the business owner, for example, is really in a good condition. Because, for example, if you have some nutrition deficit, or you're, like we're discussing, in the deep side of the burnout, or you are you're in the deep stage of the depression right now, and you're unable to do something with that, it will be very difficult to see the results of the coaching or something like this. And the metaphor here, again, if we will, look to the animal world, for example, just let's imagine the beautiful bird that flying out for the tiger, for example. At this moment, she totally focused on the surviving. It's impossible for her to make some pirouettes or to dance and to do something more complicated. That the things that you need to do for the survive, to survive. So, if I see something like this, or I'm asking the client who came to me, when did you visit your doctor last time? When did you do the checkup? Do you have some maybe specifics in your family connected with those things that entrepreneurs are vulnerable for? My first recommendation will be, let's you start with a visit to the doctors, just understand what's going on with you. And if we are totally clear that everything is fine with your health, we can do something here. If we're speaking about the personal work, is everything fine? And we're probably sure. My responsibility here, like a business coach, to partnering with my client and to develop together those habits that can be helpful and useful for their daily activities. Because I absolutely understand, like a business owner and entrepreneur with a long experience, that you are really unable just to stop it. Because if you stop it, your company will close the next day sometimes, specifically in the early stages, because you're deeply involved in all the processes. But we are starting to develop those habits that can be useful based on the neuroscience knowledge. For example, the balance between it's not a work-life balance. It's some kind of the balance between working and have some rest, because this is important. And even when you don't have enough time for that, you can do it more resultatively. For example, you should have some various of the tools that make you feel more relaxed. Just stop, just calm down. It can be whatever it is. My clients have different tools. For example, like, I don't know, floating, like maybe some kind of acupuncture, meditation, walking, surfing, jogging, running, whatever it is. But you should know about it, and you should know your body, and you should speak in the same language with your body. And when you need just to calm down or maybe refresh, you should have in your pocket some tools that can help you to do this very, very quickly. And my responsibility here is to develop together this list of the tools. Another thing, I'm explaining it to my client that typically we, like entrepreneurs, that they're focused on the results. And this is not a very good strategy, because this means that we are spending our dopamine. And this means that if we're thinking about long strategy of development of our business, if we will ride in there to the fuel of the dopamine, what's that mean? If you feel that you are motivated only by the results, not your path, but results, that mean that you have some kind of, dopamine addiction here.
Okay.
It is, of course, some kind of a metaphor, but if we will dive deeper and see in our brain, you will see it there. I can explain, but I don't want to be there, very boring for the listener.
No, that makes perfect sense. That's super interesting to think about it from that perspective. And I think that's totally true. Like, I also imagine that founders have a like highly addictive personality in general, and that probably does manifest itself in dopamine like you were explaining earlier. And so to be results oriented rather than mission driven, I've always said was like, interestingly, I guess I had been thinking about it in that like being results oriented will not be fuel for the long term. It's very much
Absolutely.
fuel for the short term. So like when you run into the inevitable roadblocks or issues, it's going to be a lot harder for you to persevere through them if you're driven strictly by like profit or whatever KPIs you're measuring, as opposed to like internally, like from my heart, does this align with where I'm trying to go? Especially like, for other business reasons, it opens you up to have more flexibility to pivot and all these other kinds of situations. But the way that you're explaining it makes perfect sense.
It's not only about the mission, it's about the ability to feel the same enjoyment of the results, like for the process. And why is very important? Because when we feel enjoyment, the level of our endorphin rising up, and it influence and stimulate our dopamine. Or there is not enough dopamine if we don't have enough endorphin. And it's very obvious for our body, because you want to live and succeed in the life that you really love, in the life that you really enjoy. And we are developing the habit with my clients when, for example, you are planning your week, starting not with the business meetings that are important, but started with the breakup. It can be 10 minutes, it can be 15 minutes, but this is the 10 minutes that you're doing anything that you really enjoy. It can be a very simple thing. Think like, I don't know, blossoming the flowers.
Yeah, or like
maybe
play the
feel
piano.
maybe feel some warm wind or sunshine on your face. But you're totally focusing on it, and you really start to feel that this pleasure, because this is a great sign for our body that right now we're in the right place, we're doing everything right, everything is great, because our body really know what's really best works for us. For example, somebody love one type of food, somebody hate the same type of food, and this is very important for us to be able to speak on this language with our body. And it's very simple. And it is also developing your ability to make the best decision that's available for you right now in those circumstances where you are and your business are, even if you don't have enough information, because your nervous system already trained to make the best decision that is available for you. And another part of that is that we are training to make a decision through this enjoyment feeling, starting with a very simple situation, like for example, what I want to eat right now. I don't know, some poached eggs or maybe some sandwich. I want coffee or I want some tea. And you shouldn't just ask this question for yourself. You should just for half of the minute think and imagine the taste of this in your mouth. And for those choice that you will feel more attachment, you should choose it. And we are developing the skills. And right now, there are a lot of amazing research that was published in January 2025 that our emotional condition, like a business founder, are changing the biochemistry of our employers, and we are providing it for the words and for the emotional aspect of the words that we are using, speaking with our employers. And I think this is my idea. It wasn't in the research, but I think there's some logic here that we are able to choose our own biochemistry, speaking with ourselves with the correct words and correct emotions. And I just want to say that if your employees are under the stress and it's day by day stress, or you and your team losing the ability to be creative, to be very resilient, because right now we're living in such a dramatically changing world, and we never had such a speed as a change right now. Never for all the human history. And the only one way to succeed in it is to be resilient, very adaptive, and always have some kind of the extra resource. It's irrelevant for the money as well, of course, but the main thing is there some psychological resource, health resource that make your adaptability skills very high. And I think it's really important right now, and I hope we will see it in numbers very soon.
Yeah. And the other thing that I thought was really interesting is like how we talk to ourselves. It makes me always think back to that research with plants, where if you the plants that you speak to in a positive manner like thrive so much more than the ones that you speak to in a negative manner. And like the fact that we don't apply that also to ourselves like is shocking to me. And something that I'm also starting to learn and realize as just like an adult is that you have to have something outside of work, whatever that looks like, because it makes me so much more clear-headed at work. Because it's not like, especially as entrepreneurs, your whole life is this business, and that's not always a good thing because you become so emotionally attached to it that you can't make the right decisions. But when you have like a hobby or an exercise that you care about, or like you said, some sort of something that puts you back in your body and out of your head and like deepens that connection between the two and sort of like feeds that internal gut check that you're sort of honoring, it makes it so much easier to make tough decisions as a business person, because you're like, my whole, like, yes, I care deeply about this, but I also have this other thing outside of that feeds me. So it's not like I have to be stressed that everything that's coming from the business is feeding me. And so therefore I can make more clear-headed decisions.
You're 100% right. And the good thing here for all the business owners that's really motivated by their business is that our development in other fields of our life influence for our business as well. Because, we don't have some specific brain for the business. Of course, maybe it's a dream of some of the companies because the TV show Severance is specifically about it. You have a specific brain for your work and another brain for your personal life. But right now, we don't have this. And if you are developing your brain, your skills, your ability, for example, for decision making, for some kind of intuitive decision in your sport activities, like, for example, surfing. That's why a lot of entrepreneurs really love surfing, because this is a great metaphor of the business. You don't know what's going on. This is just a big wave, and you should just jump on it, and you will fall 20 times before you will catch the wave and just feel this amazing experience. And a lot of my clients really, they're deep in this surf experience and surf activities. But what I'm trying to say here, we really want to develop our skills. We're very addictive to the knowledge, to to be we're passionate about it, but something between 65 or 75% of our brain energy, our brain potential, are occupied by our physical activities. And if you want dramatically fast develop your brain, you should just started to make some new complicated physical movements.
Cool.
It can be dancing, it can be surfing or something else. And the gym workouts is not the best thing to do specifically this. It's for another purpose good. But if we're speaking about the brain development, it will not influence so fast on it. But the examples that I gave you, like dancing or something where you need to keep in your focus, there are complex activities for your body, that really develops your brain. And when you develop your brain in another place, and after that, with the same brain, you are coming for your business back, you can see the situation from another perspective, and it can really influence in a great way on it. A lot of entrepreneurs really have some kind of hobbies like drawing, acting, singing. This is really a great way to relax. Sing. The 1 hour of the singing really can help you to decrease your stress level. So you should just know it about yourself. What makes you feel pleasure? What is great for your body? What you can do for a long time? And if right now you're stuck in your business, I mean, you understand that you need to change something and you don't want to do, and you feel that you're overwhelmed, maybe you should take a pause just for half of the day and go somewhere, dance or ride on the bicycle or do something new with your body. And maybe it will really influence in a great way for your business.
Yeah, I think anytime I have a creative block where a problem feels unsolvable, it's so helpful for me to step away from the computer and like uncross my eyeballs. And I just started taking up piano and then to like put my mind somewhere else on a different problem and like playing the piano, reading the notes and stuff like that. It always helps to reset my brain, and then I can go back and like see the problem from a fresh perspective. And it just like I think dissolves the situation or diffuses the situation from being something where you get like super frustrated, and instead you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna take a break. And there's also something else too I learned where like you can absorb information, but actually taking a break is better because your brain still is learning even while you're sleeping. It's still processing information. So sometimes like things sink in for me much later than when I initially absorb or hear the information. There's like a lag time sometimes that for me I almost feel like it's better to take a break because it lets my mind like process the information at a much better way than if I were to like force myself to try to understand something immediately.
You're 100% right. And I'm very happy that you told about it, because in reality, we are getting new experience during the day, but we are learning and integrated through the neuroplasticity process, this new information into our brain only when we are sleeping, only, not in another time. And if, for example, you learn a lot and get a lot of new experience, but you don't sleep enough, that means that you're unable to integrate it in all the amount that you get, because it's the same it's the same meaningless here. I mean, sorry, not the meaningless. It's the same meaning here. The experience and your ability to integrate it when you sleep. And if you don't sleep enough or your quality of the sleep is not very good, you will feel more and more stressed. Because what is the stress? This is the difference between the amount of new information and our ability to integrate it. Because stress is the normal thing. I mean, this is the only one thing to learn something new, because some newer circumstances, newer information, newer activities stimulates us. We are trying to keep it. And then our body is, our brain, our body thinking, okay, today she, for example, riding on the bicycle, probably she will do it next time again. We should very, very fastly integrate the skills inside the brain that the next time it will not be such a stressful or such hard physically. And if you're doing it in a regular activity, it's become just some regular thing for you. Are you riding the bicycle?
I have ridden one before.
Maybe you remember the first time you don't really understand what's going on, where's my leg, where I'm going. It's such a stressful. And when you did it, for example, I don't know, 10, 20 times, you're forgetting that you are doing it. You're just riding, enjoying the wind, enjoying the sunshine, whatever it is. You don't think about it. And that's mean that you already have enough strong neural connection in your brain that's responsible for this part of your activities. And it's absolutely the same. You asked me about what we're doing with our entrepreneurs. I answered for a question of what we're doing specifically with him or her or her body. But there are a huge amount of the work that we're doing else about his circumstances, what's going on in his life, what's going on in his business. Sometimes, we shouldn't dive deep into some kind of neuroscience, because sometimes we can find that, I don't know, he or she has an employer that really they were difficult to connect with, and for some reason, for some psychological reasons, they were difficult to fire this employer. I mean, not their low aspect of this is not my thing. I mean, you are thinking, should I do it? You don't want to be, some kind of bad guy here, and you don't really understand how strongly this aspect of your reality influence for your conditions, for decision making, and for a lot of my clients, it's really difficult to prioritize their comfort to the first spot, to the first place in this list. And they are trying to find the arguments that, I don't know, how I feel is not such an important as, I don't know, money, clients, different opportunities. Again, it can work for the short distance, but speaking of the long distance, it will not work better. And founder or co-founder's interest is the main thing that you should focus on. Their relationship, their motivation, their ability, because market can change. You can pivot your business. It's really fantastic if you have professional, talented team that they're inspired by your idea, they're loyal for your business, they're really, you feel like this is your team, this is your people, and you're together doing the thing that you want to do, you want to develop. But if, for example, it's not like this, you should be okay to change the situation. This is just a business, and for a lot of people, it's really difficult situation. Sometimes, as I told you, it's not about the neuroscience aspect. It's about just some kind of business solution, business decision, changing all the processes. There are a lot of not very comfortable processes inside the company. Just because we created it and then it was 5 of us, right now this is 200 people, but we still do it in this way. And you need to change something. And our responsibility in the partnering with the client, just to very attentively analyze what's going on in the life of the business owner, to understand where we can find new resources. And it's about finding new resources, but also about the very careful expenses of these resources. I'm speaking not only about the money or some other activities. I'm speaking about the everything, includes attention, energy, time, etc.
Yeah. Well, Marina, I feel like that was the perfect place to close. I feel like we came full circle, and that's my favorite moment. Absolutely. Is when the interviews come full circle. It's like I didn't plan that, but I love when it happens like that. So thank you so much for sharing your time and your expertise. This was truly like such a fascinating conversation for me, and I hope that everybody listening also felt the same way, because this is my kind of nerd.
Thank you. I hope so. I really hope that it will be useful, or just maybe, enjoyment for the people who are listening us right now.
And that's a wrap on today's episode. If you got even one good idea or felt seen, smash that 5-star button. You can find all the links to connect with Marina in the show notes. And if you want more founder wisdom, community, and behind the scenes, come hang out at my website, mimir.ink, join the newsletter. And in between then and now, I will see you guys next week.